Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the second episode of my CDK crash course. In this video, I will talk about API Gateway and Lambda. First, I will show you guys how to set up the project, and then we will do the coding together. After that, we use the CDK command to deploy our application to the cloud. And finally, I will show you how to set up a Postman collection to test our API. That should be it. Without further ado, let's start. So I have my terminal open here. Because this is a CDK crash course, so I will start with some very basic concepts. We will create a to-do app. So first, let's create the folder. And then in here, in order to initialize the project, I will use the command called CDK init. And the language we use here going to be Typescript. Now I will open my VS Code so we can see what we have. So this is our to-do app folder look like at the moment. There are three folders I want you guys to understand. First is the bin folder. This is the entry point of our application. And in here we import the stack from the lib folder where all the code of a infrastructure that's going to be staying in. And finally is the test folder where we will write some testing later on during the course. And the rest, I think you guys are already familiar with. We got a package.json file. We have two library have been installed for us, AWS CDK Lib and construct. And then, yeah, the rest is nothing new, so I will not go into it. The testing framework that will be used is going to be Zest. So yeah, very basic stuff. I will not go deep into testing in this project. And then a Typescript config file. There are two basic concepts I want to explain with you guys, a stack and a construct. As you can see, my to-do app stack extends from the stack, and in the constructor, the first parameters is a construct. So what is a construct? Constructs are the basic building blocks of a CDK app. They represent the cloud components. The components here can be as simple as S3, EC2, Lambda, or can be an abstract logic of multiple components. A construct encapsulates all materials needed for the CloudFormation to create the component. A note here is that the construct is not the component itself, but it has some extra materials in order for the CloudFormation to create the component. When we do the CDK init app command, it installs the construct library here, and in there we import the construct class that represents the CloudFormation resources. Next, what is a stack? So a stack is a unit of deployment. When we do CDK deploy, it deploys the whole stack, not each construct individually. A stack is also considered as a root construct. As you can see when I mouse hover over the stack here, and there is a side node. All constructs besides the root construct, which is a stack, must be created within the scope of another construct. So later on during this course, I will create many other resources, other constructs, and in each constructor, the first parameter is always another construct, as I call it a scope here. So that is the introduction of the folder. Now we start coding the application. So I just finished set up some basic stuff. So in order to keep my code structure clean, I create two separate class. As you guys see from here, the Lambda class and the API Gateway class separate from the stack. So we can write any logic we want with the Lambda and the API Gateway here. Let's start with the API Gateway first. In the constructor, we got a super function which go from the abstract class. After the scope, we got a thing called the ID. So the thing about the ID is that in a stack perspective, the ID must be unique. So you see from here, API Gateway, API log group, all of these needs to be unique. I cannot have two components with the same ID inside a stack. And the name, you can name it whatever you want. In the deploy options, either set some basic configs for the log destinations, which is the log group. And the log group name is going to be API Gateway, because this is the log for the API Gateway. The retentions, I want to keep the log for 1 day only. And the removal policy, so what happened when you delete the stack, then I chose destroy. So whenever we delete the stack, all of its resources going to be removed also. And I also write a custom method called add integration. The add integration will take in a method, the path, and the Lambda itself. Next, we go to the Lambda. So this is a very basic Lambda function. The architecture I use is ARM64. We can use 86 as well, but ARM64 is recommended by AWS with a better performance. I use Node.js 14 here. And the entry, this is I set out the path as I will put the logic of my Lambda in. I will create this folder later on. And then the same with the API Gateway. I want to keep the log for 1 day only. So after 1 day, it will be removed. Now let's create another folder to put all our backend logic inside. I name it backend. So in the backend, I got a folder for the Lambda. And for the demo purpose of this tutorial, I will create a simple get health Lambda. So you know the Lambda is simply a function just take in an input and return an output. So in here, let's write simple handler function. There's something I need to install. There is one package I need to install here, which is the types we use for the AWS Lambda. So I just go. So as you can see, I installed a new package called AWS Lambda, which is simply give me all the types that needed for the input of an API gateway, and the output is returned. I can show you very quickly now. So you can see the input of an API gateway when I have a status. You see the input. So as you can see, the input of the API gateway proxy event gonna have a body, which is normally serialized as string, the headers, and the path, and etc. And for the output, it's very simple. So we have a status code, the headers, and the body also as string. So in this case, I have only the body, which is okay, and the status code is 200. So after I already finished create get health lambda, we go back to the live, and in here, we want to integrate that lambda into our API gateway. So it's super easy. I will go, first I create that lambda. Put in the props and the name. This is not the right lambda. This is supposed to be the lambda that I created before. So this is this one. So it take in. So first it take in the construct, and then the file name. So the file name I put here as health. As you can see from here, I name it health under the backend and lambda folder. The reason I have to put the file name here is because, as you can see here, the path to the lambda is backend lambda. This is going to be matched with what I put in here. By the way, this CDK going to use TS node under the hood, as you can see from here. So in here, we can just simply put the .ts file. So after create the lambda, we want to integrate it into the API gateway. So we do .add integration. First, the method is going to be get. It is a HTTP method. And second is the path, the API. I want to name it health. And finally, I pass in the lambda itself. So that should be it. Let's do some cleanup. And in our entry point, we already import the to-do app stack. So that should be good. I just remove this thing right here. And that should be it. Simple, right? Now, let's deploy this application together. So here, I'm back to my terminal. There are a couple of useful CDK commands I want to show you guys. And the first one is CDK sync. What this command does is it will generate a CloudFormation template. It will not be useful for now, but in the future, when we change anything in our stack, it will compare the difference in the CloudFormation template. By the way, there's a note I want to let you guys know. In my previous video, I showed you guys some of the prerequisites in order to follow my tutorial, but I forgot one thing. In order to follow and run the CDK commands in the CLI, you need to have Docker installed. So now I will fast forward the video until it's ready. So after the CDK thing is done, you can see from here there's a line say CDK Bootstrap is in version 6 is required. Please run CDK Bootstrap. So let's do it. The CDK Bootstrap simply what it does is it will populate on the CloudFormation resource in the region and account. So you will run this command first and only once when you first set up your CDK stack in an environment, and after that you will never have to do it again. So let's do it now. CDK Bootstrap. The CDK Bootstrap is run successfully. Finally, let's deploy our application. I will run CDK deploy. It's very simple. In here, they will give you all the chains, all the resources it will be created. You can see there's some IAM policy role that will be created automatically for you from the CDK. Normally, if you use SAM template or CloudFormation template, you have to create by yourself. But in here, it will be created for you automatically. I will say yes. Hi guys, after the CDK deploy command complete, in the output you can see an endpoint right here. This is the actual endpoint of our system. You can use this one right away, or I will show you later in the API Gateway's component. Now let's go to the AWS console to see what we have created. So after I log in, this is what I will see in my AWS console. Let's look at the CloudFormation. So you can see from here, I already have a stack created for me called to-do app stack. We go here and we go to the resource. You can see that there are a couple of resources that automatically created for us, such as the log group retention, the Lambda itself. So all of these have been created automatically by the CDK. And what we already done is only write some very basic Typescript code, and all of this have been created for us. That is really cool in my opinion. Now let's do another thing. Let's go through the API Gateway. So what you do is you go to here. And we already have a to-do app created here. And you see in the path, there's already a health path that in the get method right here. So let's go to the Lambda. And you can see from here, there's a function called to-do app stack health, which is created by the CDK itself. And let's look at the code. This code is already translated from Typescript to JavaScript, but you can see from here, the code I wrote in Typescript, console log, health Lambda executed, and then return body OK, and status code. So I would say our API Gateway and Lambda have been successfully deployed. Now let's test it. I will open my Postman. So this is my Postman application. This program is free, and I will put the link in the description of this video. I will go ahead and go to a space here. I will create a new collection. So new collection. I name it to-do app. And in this application, I create a first request. I name it health. And in here, what I do is I will create an environment. So go here, to do, let's name it def. And here I want to have a variable URL. So I will write the URL in the terminal that I mentioned earlier. save it. We go back to our get help request. So in here we chose the environment we just created, chose the URL, so because in the Lambda we chose a path as health, so in here we show health, and then let's try it. Oh, success, status 200, and the response is okay. So that's it, we already successfully deployed. So that should be it for this video. We successfully write the code and deploy our first API Gateway and Lambda to AWS, and then we already tested with the Postman. I will save this request, and I also save this Postman collection in the code. You can find the link of the code in the description of the video. And that's it for now. I see you guys in the next video.